All right, guys, for our next card, we're going to start out by stamping that big Magnolia image again. I love this Magnolia. It's just so pretty. And we're going to stamp that in Memento because we're going to color it with our Stampin' Blends. And so I'm going to give it a good press on a Scrap of Whisper White, and then we'll color it in, and then we'll die cut it last. Okay, so to color these, I'm going to use my I've got Old Olive combo and Flirty Flamingo combo. And then I'm also going to probably just throw a little crumb cake or soft suede, either one, for the stem. Okay, so I'll just throw a little on there. So that's brownish. All right. So I'm going to start with my dark color, and I'm going to keep all that really dark Flirty Flamingo in the very center. I might just do a couple little bits of it here, but I want the majority of that color to be light. So I'm really going extra careful not to put too much of the dark Flirty Flamingo because I want it to be light. And in fact, we'll blend it to like basically nothing. In fact, it's a good time to remember that it's okay to have white areas on your flowers. And we will blend this out with a color lifter just to prove that point. And I do love working with my Stampin' Blends. They're just so pretty and perfect for a larger flower like this to get some really pretty coloring in. So notice I'm still leaving a lot of the petal white. Okay. And then just grabbing my color lifter. And I'm going to soften the edges of each of these lines with my color lifter so it just kind of disappears into the background of my flower. Like so. Okay, so that is pretty much all the coloring I need to do on my flower. I don't think I hit that one. Then I will do my leaves, and I think the greenery can really kind of add a lot of color and beauty to your flower. Even if your flower isn't that colorful, the greenery can kind of make things really pop. You'll see that here in just a second. So I'm adding some dark, and then we'll blend it in. With our lighter. This is Old Olive. Ooh, and you know what? This is a dead marker. I think I have a couple dead markers, hopefully. Yep, this one's good. I kept that dead marker just because I really wanted to get every little bit out of it that I could, and I think I have. Old Olive is actually one of the colors I use the very most. Although since Granny Green came out, I've been using Granny Green quite a bit too. I like or Granny Apple Green. I like the bright, happy color. As with anything, I'm trying to stay away from the very, very edge, just so I don't bleed. And our last leaf. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and die cut this and I'll be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and put our card together. Now for this, sorry, I'm adjusting there we go, that's a little better. For this one, I've taken and die cut that kind of edge piece on a piece of black, as well as a piece of Flirty Flamingo to kind of tie those colors together. And it leaves, like, it's got a little scoring line, so you can just line that scoring line up to get a nice even border on here. And so I'll go ahead and adhere those two together and then trim my piece. Now, I cut my cardstock down when I did this, my black piece, so that from here to here, it was about 4 1/8. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but just ballpark. And the reason we want that measurement is just so that there's enough room for the sentiment that we're going to stamp. Okay, so there's that. I love bringing in the little pink layer in here. I think that's really cool. Okay, I've got my card base, which is crumb cake. I love using crumb cake with this stuff because it's just a nice neutral color and it looks really pretty. I've also got a layer of 4 by 5 1/4 that I'm going to take and adhere this piece to. And then it'll go on my card. Now, before I do that, though, I'm going to take and pop this off. I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Actually, I'm going to leave it there just to make sure I have enough room for my sentiment. If I don't, I can always trim a little more of that off before I glue it down. So that's why I like to just use it as kind of a placeholder. So if I need to trim it, I have that option. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Hello. Right there in the center in black. And then I'm going to use, you can use either Mossy Meadow or Old Olive, depending on which blends you used. So like if you used, I used the Old Olive blend, so I'll use olive. But if you used Mossy, that works great too. Anyway, I'm going to stamp a couple of leaves, just kind of coming down like so on there. Okay. And I think that just kind of adds a nice little touch. All right, now that spacing looked good, so we'll go ahead and adhere this to that panel. And I really, now that this edgelet does kind of line up with that little flourishy piece, which we're going to do in one of the other cards, but it's just kind of a nice piece to use by itself or with this. Okay, so I will adhere this to my card and then pop up my beautiful Magnolia on top. Okay, so you can kind of position it however you want, but I'm going to put several dimensionals on here. Kind of getting one in each of the peaks and then a couple under the flower itself. And by peaks, I mean leaves. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is embellish this with some linen thread. Now, this is where I would have used the ribbon combo that comes, that goes in this suite. But because, like I said, I don't have it, I'm just going to do linen thread as a replacement till my back ordered stuff comes in. But like I said, it's just next week, so it won't be long. Okay. So there's my little bow. And I just did a double layer and tied it together, and then I'll just stick it right there. I think the green would be really pretty though. Okay, so there we go. So pretty.